Hello and welcome everyone, and welcome back to a brand new video. As you can see on screen and by the title of this video, I finally have got my first play of MotoGP 2022. Now, quick disclaimer before we get into it, just want to say a massive thank you first to Milestone Games for giving me an early access code, and also this is not the final product, this is not the final build, so any glitches or anything in the game that you see at the moment, especially bikes, riders, teams, all that kind of thing, they're not finalised yet, so just be aware of that. Now, I don't know exactly how late of a build it is, but I'm just going to run you through all my feedback from my first hour or so of gameplay. I am doing a post-com just because I wanted to give pretty much my clear and concise thoughts about this game and not trying to be juggling playing a brand new MotoGP game while trying to spit out some thoughts. So we're going to start off straight away with the physics, the most important part. Now, when I jumped onto it first, initially the bike felt incredibly heavy, and I figured out that was because the base setup is pretty average. It's not really set up right, so the bike is kind of set up wrong from factory. Now that could be a bug, so again, a lot of things I will say in this game I'm going to be like, well, that could be a bug, could be that and this. So just take everything I take in this gameplay and this commentary as with a bit of pinch of salt, just because when the full game comes out it could be totally different. So I'm just, again, this is my first play of a beta build, so we need to kind of take everything as it won't be like that in the final build. My main issue at the moment is braking. Now, they've reworked the suspension on the curbs, they've reworked the tyres, I believe, they've reworked the career mode and a load of other things and stuff. But the front brake, when you brake with the front brake, the bike understeers horrifically. The best way I can describe it is last year in MotoGP21 they updated the game and they had this dead zone in the left stick. It's like that is back, but it's like 3 times worse. You have a massive dead zone in your left stick when you're braking. You have to like properly turn the bike fully in for just to tip in, and a lot of you will know that I push forward and push back on the sticks to get smaller precise movements, and it feels like I've like a 10-20% dead zone. Now again, this could be something down to me. I could change the controller linearity and stuff like that and maybe fix it that way, but from my first initial play, that was one thing I noticed, that the front brake is really understeery and initially gave me a lot of problems. I slightly got the hang of it after about an hour of gameplay. You'll see a lot of mistakes in the later laps of this race, racing as Aleix Espargaro at Jerez. Just when you're braking, changing direction, you literally, when you're using the front brake, the bike becomes so hard to control. If you force the bike, the rear seems to let go and it seems to kind of give you a little flick over the bars and use the front. The ride height divide, I'm not too sure it does anything other than visually. I have used it a lot and I've used it in places, and then the next lap I haven't used it and I don't see any, oh that's amazing there, it really improves your drive. Now I will say off the line, just the launches, it does help a wheelie. Now again, when the full game comes out, I'm going to do loads of back-to-back testing with visual comparisons just to show you off what's best, and I'll be doing loads of tips and tricks like I did for MotoGP21. But for now, with my first few hours of the game, it doesn't feel like it. Now I use a lot in this race, you will see it. There was one cool neat feature I did like, is that if you're at a certain lean, you can't do it at certain lean, so you have to have the bike up at a certain lean of like certain degrees of lean. So maybe say 25% or more, you can't use it. So if you actually are in the middle of the corner, you'll see a lot of times now, especially the last corner, and I think it's Ceto Ponds, where mid corner I've actually bound it to A for me. I think it's better as that button than YY is a bit out of the way for me, for my thumb. So what I found was pressing it mid corner, and then it kind of goes yellow, because basically saying for some reason you can't, like it's saying that it's kind of activated but not ready. Also, if you activate it while not accelerating, it doesn't actually squat down. So just keep an eye as we come into turn 6 on this lap, and you should see me using it. Towards the race went on, I actually stopped using it because I wanted to see was I getting any advantage. We're going to jump to the eye quickly. The eye seem very similar to last year. Again, maybe the final build will be different. They don't seem any quicker. It feels like the game has slowed the player down a lot. And again, the front brakes system has given me a lot of what could you say, a lot of lack of confidence, and it's really slowed me down because I can brake late. I can outbrake the AI with quite ease, but I can't get the bike into the corner without braking and then leaving off the brakes really early and using a lot of engine braking, a bit of rear brake to get the bike in. So there's a lot of playing around to get it right, and it's a bit inconsistent at the moment. I've had times where I've been barely braking, the bike just runs on, it won't turn in. So again, I think it just needs a small tweak before the final game's out, just have it a bit more smooth. Again, you can see me into Untitled Chapter here, I just can't turn the bike in while trail braking. It was a complaint for a lot of people when they got the original build, the preview about two and a half weeks ago, that you cannot trail brake, and now I see exactly what they mean. When you brake hard the bike, you just can't tip it in, and if you release the brake it will turn in, but it's so hard to trail brake the bike and release. And if we just look at the right ice device, it's going to go orange now, and that, see the way it goes yellow, that basically means it's initialized but it hasn't squatted down yet because I've had too much lean. So you can actually kind of preempt it, which is pretty good. So as soon as you get on throttle you can hit it and then leave the bike do it itself. You don't have to do it live, so you can't do it at full lean, which is, it's kind of assisted, which is good. Now maybe in the final game they might give it so it is unassisted, you can use it all the time, but for now that's what we have. But it's not a bad thing, it's a good feature. I like they brought it in. I just have my doubts whether it works. But again, back to the AI, they seem to be amazing out of the corner. I cannot match them out of the corner. In the corners they seem about where they were last year, and again on the straights they're kind of okay. I've only tested for this video 120% AI, so the max AI, but they seem very timid on the brakes. Now maybe with the new physics they're a bit timid as well because of the way they have to brake with the bike. The ANA system might be struggling as well in these earlier builds, but when I got the braking right I could outbrake them so much. Now I didn't get the braking right much, which is another thing. It felt really skill based to try and get the bike stopped on the new front brakes. So there's a lot changed, but the way I look at the game, it's a GP21.5. At the base of the game it's still GP21, but they've added a bit more to it, beefier out, kind of meat it up and all that. So it's much harder to get the bike stopped is my biggest issue. See into turn 1 here the last lap and I just keep it on track, and you see throughout this lap here I cannot get the bike stopped. The bike on full tyres, like full brand new tyres, at full lean you can trail brake as much as you want when the bike's leant over. As soon as the tyres wear, it becomes incredibly hard. You start locking the front tyre even in a straight line. So it looks like they've really changed the tyre physics up, especially the front, but also just in general you have so much more rear grip at all times. Now it doesn't propel you forward more, it's more scale that the bike doesn't step out as easily. And for all of this race I was running traction 3. I did run a bit of practice with traction 2, traction 1, and it does kick out on no traction, which is understandable, but most people won't be riding that on a 300 horsepower GP bike. But it does seem that one of the biggest issues the community had with MotoGP21 was that the rear end was loose, flaky, it was all over the place. It looks like they fixed that. The curbs are better but not perfect. There is a lot of curbs that are still pinging me off. I have an issue where for some reason I am using the curbs, because you're kind of getting into the feeling, alright, I can use this curb, and then you start to use more curbs and you find out, okay, I still can't use that curb. And if you drop off the edge of them, they can be quite aggressive, which isn't a bad thing, because in real life it does happen when they go off the edge of the curb, that it is a bit sketchy. But that is pretty much it for my initial play. I've covered the physics. Graphically, again, it looks pretty good. Again, don't have the up-to-date models, so I can't really speak anything about that. I haven't touched career mode. Obviously haven't done any online or anything. It's just quick race and time trial. It's mainly the physics I wanted to talk about. Everything else, like the balancing of the AI and stuff like that, I have really no interest in kind of taking from this because it's an earlier build. But overall, it is definitely different. Obviously, a lot of you would have been here and would have seen my video where I said that it looked unchanged. And even watching it back now while commentating over, it doesn't look massively different. It just looks like I've gotten a lot worse, is what I would say. And I have been off this game for a while, especially MotoGP21. Really haven't played that much since the turn of the year. Focusing a lot on GP bikes, MX bikes and a few other games. But I must say, the base game a lot of the time feels like MotoGP21. It feels like a step up in a lot of places. Like the corner exit is nice, and the cornering still feels pretty good. The bike feels less floaty is another thing I just want to add at the end here. And overall, the front braking is going to be a big issue for a lot of people, and I'm actually quite worried that I reckon it will get patched. I don't think the bait I'm playing here, I don't think this ought to be released for the general public. I think they will slightly alter the front because it is really difficult. Now again, I'm running no assist and stuff, so maybe if you add on all the assists it might help you, but for the players who want no assist, it is quite difficult to brake deep and push the front of the bike into the corner. And when you're braking deep, you need to like turn in early. It just gets a bit messy, so I'd like to see him just kind of maybe refine that. I do understand that when you brake with the front of a bike, it does sit the bike up slightly and run more of a narrower line. That is perfectly understandable, I do get that, but I think they've just gone slightly too far, and I'd like to rein it back in, and I think it would be a solid feature and make the braking a bit more realistic. And just to finally end on the braking, the stoppies don't seem too aggressive. A lot of people have issues with them in 20 and 21. But yeah, I am going to leave it there. I've played about an hour and a half, 90 minutes or so. So just bear in mind, again, like I said at the start, this is a preview build. 90 minutes on the game after not playing a MotoGP game in weeks would take a bit of adjustment. Now I did feel I could get into the game and I could play it and I could get up to speed quite quick, just struggling with the braking. But I'm going to ramble on for long enough. Just want to say a massive thank you once again to Milestone for giving me the privilege of playing the game early. Huge thanks to them, and subscribe for more if you enjoyed it. Any questions at all, drop them in the comment. I'll try and get back to you with the most detailed answer as possible. Once again, thank you all for tuning in, and I shall catch you all in the next video. Bye bye.